So I wanted to share with you guys how we're going to grow these grapes. We bought this grape plant on sale at the end of the season last year. We kept it inside to survive the unusually cold winter this year. And then when it was nice enough, I brought it outside. It was still in the pot. Put it next to this trellis and it attached immediately. But a couple weeks later when I went to dig, although this front part of the garden is excellent for the beans, as you can see, and lemongrass, it's very hard and I could not dig. So I had to come up with a solution. Didn't want to spend any money. So I thought about it for a little bit. I said, oh, we have those pavers that were here when we moved here. All we did was stack them. As you can see, there's no mortar. Just stacked them up. And I was planning on using the pine needles on the bottom. As you know, we do green fertilizer, and one pile is all the weeds we've ever pulled. They stay in a pile and disintegrate. The other pile is pine needles. I'm going to bring you over and show you that. As you can see, there's no lack of pine trees or pine needles. So I made this pile last year, and I was really looking forward to using it as mulch in the garden, but when I came out to prepare it for putting in the bottom of the planter we just made, as I was flipping it with the hoe, I realized there's a whole bunch of fire ants in there. One thing about these piles is you really do have to maintain. You have to water them so they disintegrate. You have to flip them, preferably with a hoe or a shovel, because you don't want to put your hands in there. And I did not do that enough, so I cannot use this at this time, but we are going to put some boiling water with some soap on there and get rid of those ants. So we're going to rake up some fresh, not green, but new pine needles from the yard, and I'm going to put that in the bottom. Here's our fresh new pile I'm going to put into the planter. Remember, do not use green. Wait until they're brown. I only used about half of that pile. I literally just raked 2 seconds to get that pile. Took the pot out, and now it's time to get some water in there and put the topsoil in. Here you can see I just put a light layer of the store-bought topsoil on top of the pine needles. The pine needles will help enrich the soil. And next is to take it out of the pot. By the way, you can see how well it attached itself to the trellis. That's why I could not, even if I could dig deeper, I wouldn't have been able to get it into the ground. That's the thing about gardening and pretty much anything in life. You learn, keep learning. This is all learn as we go. It's now out of the pot, and all we have to do is fill it up past that level there. As you can see, it's a little messy. It's not perfect, but I think it's good enough to keep this little guy going. As a bonus, another lesson learned. When we first started planting garden and stuff, I read that plant the peanuts whole with the shell on. You see this little guy? I actually found them in this one area where I had planted peanuts a year and a half ago. Never came up. But I guess with all this rain we've been having, it popped up. So I'm going to plant that in this box so we can see how it goes. I have other peanuts planted, but I want to see how it goes. And this is from the radishes that ended up bolting, so they got overripe, and they got one usable radish out of that. But I do want to try direct sow, and that is when you put the flower right into the dirt, just like nature intended, and see if anything grows. So I'm going to put those two in here as well, just to keep them separated from everything else, because I want to monitor how they go. Meantime, this mockingbird is keeping me company. That I planted in, I did take the shell off. This is the radish flowers. I'm just going to cover this with dirt, and I'm curious to see how they end up coming out, if they do. And there you have it. The soil itself costed us $2.97. The grape plant itself, I believe I got on clearance for $2.50. Pavers were free. And let's see how it goes.